Hello and welcome to the Decaf Developer. Today we are going to take a look at creating a JavaScript testing library. The whole point of this is to just kind of code alongside. I've been coding for about 10 years, senior developer, but still make plenty of mistakes. But it's just a way for other people to kind of follow along and see how I approach problems, and hopefully it can help you tackle some things you're working on. So let's go ahead and get started. Let me pull over. So today what we are looking at is this JavaScript testing framework. Things like Jest and Mocha, use those all the time, but I always I'm a little curious about how does this work behind the scenes. And rather than just immediately running over and reading that code, I wanted to take a chance to go ahead and try recreating some of that same functionality in a very small scale. So here I've gone ahead and set up a quick package.json. There's not a whole lot to it, a quick README, and then we have a completely empty index. So first thing I want to be able to do with this testing infrastructure is to be able to do expect statements. This is fairly standard kind of syntax, but we want to be able to say, expect a value to equal another value. And so the first thing that I want to do is create a test for this. So we will say tests expectations.js. And because we're not using an outside test framework for now, we will have to come up with our own way of asserting that these values do in fact work. And then from there, we can eventually use our own testing framework to help test the framework itself. But we're not quite there yet. So if we look at our README, the first thing that we want to be able to do is expect true to equal true. If that doesn't work, nothing else is going to work. We've got problems. So to that end, the first thing I want to do is say, let's see. So we want to be able to say expect true to equal true. And for now, we will say const evaluated true equals, then if not evaluated true, we can, not raise, throw new error, true was not equal to true. So before this even runs, obviously expect needs to be defined, and we'll have to have something there for to equal. So first thing we want to do is expect. We'll take a value, and it's going to have to return something. At this point, we're not quite sure what that is. And let's see if that auto completes. Not yet. Oh, that's because we haven't exported it. So now expect is exported. So now does VS Code pick it up? There we go. Okay. Expect true to equal true. So at this point, I do believe we can run node tests expectations. Okay. Set module in the package.json. Type module. Directory import is not supported, resolving. Okay, well this is a new one. So let's check on Chrome real quick. Let me close out of some of this stuff. All right. See what good old Stack Overflow. let's see if that. Nope. All right, so 2 equal is not a function. So we had to add the .js onto this file and specify the index. There's probably some node configuration setting or Babel or whatnot. But for now, we'll just leave that. And we want to return 2 equal is a function. And for now, it will just return nothing. Because we just want to get the test throwing. So error true was not equal to true. Okay, so now we can start moving forward. So instead of value, we call this expected or actual value, and then 2 equal, we'll call this expected value. And here we can just say actual value equals expected value. We'll see. Okay. We'll use the dot, just like every testing infrastructure ever. Cool. So we have one passing test. And now I'll go ahead and make that a let. We'll just do let evaluated true, and then not redefine it. So this is 1. And then true is not equal to true. Or actually, no, we want to change that to 1 was not equal to 1. Just do kind of a sanity check. All right. So cool. That is, now at least the very basics are working. Now for an additional nuance, let's say that we want, by default, I'm going to say an empty object should equal an empty object. Obviously in JavaScript there's some nuance there as far as are you referring to reference or the keys equality. So this, typically when I'm working, I am most concerned with the keys being equal, that an object has the same keys and that those keys and values are identical, not that they are pointing to the same object in memory. So in the future we can add a additional 2 equal method there, but we don't want to do that quite yet. All right, so now here we're seeing that object was not equal to object. So let us go ahead and we want here, we will take expected value, and I want to return 2 equal actual value, expected value. And we're taking this out so we can have a little bit more room to add in some of that nuance. So if expected value, let's see, we'll try if type of equals object, and I know that will break when we potentially add array equality. But for now, in the TDD fashion, we're just going step by step. Then we will say object dot keys of expected value for each key. We'll say if expected value key equals actual value key, then essentially nothing, they are equal, continue. Otherwise, we're going to throw new error, objects not equal. So now, if we do that, true was not equal to true. So then we can just return true if they were, and cool. So that works. And now let's just add a quick key sanity check. So we can say hello world to equal hello world. And all right. Okay, so that seems to be working. Now let's just do a quick sanity check that we expect that to throw. Okay, object's not equal because we changed that. So that is what we expect for object equality. All right, so that is a super simple version of that. Now let's add one more condition where now we want it to be hello world true to equal hello world true. So now we're wanting to evaluate nested objects, which I expect to fail. And we'll just say nested objects not equal. So let's go ahead and run it. Yes, so objects not equal because we again are hitting this expected value key equals equals equals. So what we can do is instead of just checking that, we can say if type of expected value key equals object. So if it is an object, then we want to call this function again with actual value key else if. Let's see if that works. Okay. So now that is allowing us to evaluate nested objects as well. So that does get a little, this is a little just tricky to read. But I'm not sure if there's any other way that I would split this apart right now. Obviously you could say else if expected key does not equal, you could change that right there and throw and then have no else. But I like having the explicit check that they are equal from a code reading and maintainability point of view. And because I think at some point we may be updating that in the future. I want to leave that kind of as is. All right, so we have at least the very basics working here. Now we should probably figure out a way to group these tests, and then we can start to have a test runner that gives you, statistics at the end. So to that end, let's do describe a basic set of tests that will take a callback, not instance of. We can say what? Okay, calm down, VS Code. Test simple equality. That will take a callback like that, and now we can just do another, expect 1.to equal 1, And we imagine all of this will fail because describe is not defined, nor is test. Okay, so now we want describe is a function that takes a description and a callback. And we also know we need test, takes a description, a callback. And we are going to go ahead and do const test suite, and that will be an empty array. So first thing we can do is let's see, test suite description equals callback, and if we invoke it, what will that give us? I'm not yet sure. So let's take another look at this. All right, so this is a describe block. So this block of code, when it runs, then it should run test, which should execute that. Instead of immediately invoking it, let us put that there. For now, let's just console.log describe. Let's just kind of get a feel for the data that we're working with here. Describe is not imported. So describe, test, those are now all imported. Cool. All right, so now we have a function named describe. That's not doing anything yet. But when we execute it, so let's say here we want to expose a run tests. And obviously in the future this would be all this will be living somewhere else, but just for now we'll do object.keys for test suite, not for each, and that will give us a description, right? No, yes, yeah. Then we want to execute it, so we'll do test suite of description and execute. Execute or export run tests, import it there, and now we expect to see another, actually we expect to see nothing, because test is not defined. If we do that, yeah, so now we have this block of code now runs whenever we say run tests. So let us, so now test, we'll need a similar, similar function, similar being. How do we want to do this? What I'm trying to figure out here is that we have this description, a basic set of tests. And when we run simple equality, there is a relationship here between these that test doesn't necessarily need to know about because it's inside of the describe block. So when describe block is running, for now, let's just say console.log description. Then inside the test, we can just, what if we just invoke the callback and see what that gets us. All right, a basic set of tests. It says running. But is test ever executed? inside test description callback. All right, inside test simple equality, and then it has this anonymous function callback that we expect. Well, it could just be silently completing. No. All right. So console.log line 43. We're doing good old print debugging. Okay, so line 43. Expect 1 to equal 2. As far as I know, that should fail, right? Let's come back up here. Make sure that... Oh, interesting. 1 was not equal to 2. Oh, that's because we are only executing to equal if it is an expected value of object. If the type is object, but a number is not that. So we want to say actual value triple equals expected value, and then that should at least give us, 1 was not equal to 2. Excuse me. All right. Okay. Well, one step forward, one step back. All right. Let's only run. Let's comment all of that out for a second. Describe a basic set of tests. So we know it's running. So let's run that again. Inside test simple equality. It does this, and then... Oh, that's because we currently don't raise or handle any errors if it doesn't equal. So we'll do const did equal, not did equal, raise, not equal. Oop. Throw. You just throw a string. We'll find out. All right. So uncaught exception, not equal. Okay. So now let's go back and take off all these console.logs that got us where we need to be. And let's see. Okay, so a basic set of tests, not equal. Ideally here, we want to record that simple equality was not equal. But we're going to hold off on that for just a second. Because what I really want is, rather than, like, obviously we don't want to evaluate on every line and then just throw if there's an error. That's not what we're looking for here. So what should we do here? Expect 1 to equal 2. I expect that to fail, and I want that failure to be recorded somewhere that can be printed later. Callback does not necessarily record anything. So I'm trying to figure out where, when this is not equal, somewhere I want to say, okay, a basic set of tests, simple equality, failed here, but still be able to run subsequent tests, and not have to, just throw an error on the first error that you encounter. So what does that? So maybe that needs to be our first kind of stepping stone to that. Is that we want? Well, no, because we want this all inside of a describe block. So that we want to keep as is. right, basic set of tests. Test simple equality, expect 1 to equal 2. So how would we... So somehow if the... if expect... yeah, so that really shouldn't just be... Let's do... let's just, for now... so 2 equal... Expect, I really want expect to be able to read this outside context. But I don't believe... So, first thing we're going to try is rather than importing expect, we're just going to pass it in. And what that will allow us to do is that here we want to pass in expect and say expect equals, here we will say generate expect, and that will be a function. So generate expect with a description. Yes, so then this means this takes in a description and returns a function that does the same things that we were doing before. But at the same time, this 2 equal, this can take a description, this can take a description, this can add errors, expected value, yeah, we'll just say expected value, actual value, and now we can return false. So then at the end of run tests, we can say if object.keys of errors dot length is greater than 0, we can do object.keys of errors for each. This is going to be a description, and we can console.log description, console.log expected errors description dot expected value, console.log actual, and then we'll just print an empty line after that. So let's see. All right, export expect. Yeah, we no longer want to export that because we're injecting it in each one. Basic set of tests not equal. Okay. So at this point, we shouldn't need to. Oops. We shouldn't need to grab that. That should just be a standalone expectation. Basic set of tests. Okay, not what I was expecting. I won't lie. So let's see. Let's see if we're getting. Okay, so we're not getting. Generate expect. generate expect in test passes in expect, which is a function. Yeah, so let's see if we're even getting there. So we're into equal with the expected value and actual value. 2 equal 1. So we weren't capturing that error. So if they're there, not continue, else we want to add in the error as appropriate. And take out this console log. Should be able to take that out. Okay, basic set of tests, simple equality, expected to actual 1. Okay, so now that makes a whole lot more sense to me. Now, if we take that out, what happens? Okay, for now we're gonna leave that in. So, all right, and then we should probably say if the test executes without so the whole test. So I'm trying to figure out how we can have the cute little dots when like the whole test is completed. Those are always something nice. So to that end, if we have the thing I'm trying to consider here is that a test can have multiple expectations. So we can't just say, I guess at the end of it, we can say if errors description equals undefined, console.log dot. But that requires, okay, so there the issue is that we're using description as the key, and descriptions could be duplicated. There's nothing that says that they have to be not incremented. That they can't be duplicate values. So, for now I'm okay. Okay, just leaving that as is. Can you? Okay, and now I'm curious. How do you console.log without new line? Let's see. Let's see. So that works if you're only working in Node. Is there not a print without? Oh, that might not be. Okay. Process. Standard out. Right. Excuse me. All right. And then let's see what that looks like for us. Okay. Basic set of tests. We had one passing one, and then these. Console.group. Group end. Does that automatically indent them? Yes. Sweet. So yeah, if you haven't used console.group before, you can pass in a tag, and then I believe it, maybe not in Node, and when you're in like Chrome, it kind of brings all of those different things into a single place. Okay. So error, simple equality expected to equal 1. All right, so if we change that up, basic set of tests, we had 2 new lines, and let's go ahead and after that, we just always want to do an empty line just to get us back there. Okay. So basic set of tests, and now it raises if error equality, or not error equality, to equal. All right. So there it expected. Goodbye world. What it actually had was hello world. Cool. So, all right, we got all of that working. And for that, I think we're going to stop this one here. Gives a brief introduction to how something like this might be set up. And maybe we will come back and continue to add on some other features in the meantime, or next time. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. And we will catch you later.